9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Tune in.
This is your Friday Night Live podcast, photo and entertainment, in Middle Georgia sales and services.
Coke don't worry about Pepsi. I had to go see a man about a mule.
Look at here, look at here.
A-Town down.
And you better not lose.
Tune in.
Not so fast, my friend.
Better say it with your chest.
Come on now, shout it.
And you better not lose.
Hey, you better watch your mouth now.
I am a label.
Better shut your mouth.
Yes, I am. I don't mean to interrupt.
Better say it with your chest.
Let's get it.
And you better not lose.
What's going on, yo?
What it do, bro? What it do?
Man, missed you last week, man. Missed you last week. But I understand you the hardest working man in the state of Georgia.
Yeah, man. These last couple of weeks have been kind of rough, and I've been missing. But I'm glad to be on here with you today, bro.
Yeah, because we got some things to talk about, man. We got some things to talk about.
Yes, we do.
But before we get into all that, want to say before we get started with with our conversation for tonight. One, thank you for everybody tuning in. Number two, prayers up to our sister Jessica and her family. Number three, congratulations, and and we wish the best to our sister Kiara. Number four, EP. I know you're gonna jump on eventually, but until then, we miss you, bro. And Dro, where you at? Where you at, Dro? That's all I got to say before. That's all I got to say before we get started, man.
All right, real quick, man. Piggyback on everything you said, man. Definitely shout out to the panel members, man. Everybody making big moves. Kira, EP, Dro. Again, man, special prayers to my dog, man, my family. Yeah, man, that out the way, man. Get into some real good talk. What you got going on, man?
Man, you know what? We're gonna get into some high school football news, but here in a second, and talk about these coaching vacancies that being filled. These coaching vacancies still open. But man, this NFL free agency right now is crazy.
Bro, you call it crazy. I can't. I ain't find the word for it yet, cause it's boy. That's all. I mean, every time I try to think of a word, I'm getting lost for words with it.
I guess my biggest thing is it's a lot of big names, household names, fantasy football names, and you understand. I'm big in fantasy football, so it's a lot of fantasy football names moving around that wasn't expected to be moving.
Bro, when I saw somebody, and I'm gonna call that name, Derrick Henry to the Baltimore Ravens, I was like, my Lord.
That was a shock. Another shock. The other shock for me though was to see what the Eagles did.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me? First off, you come out, you say you cut DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift was a utility knife for you. But then you turn around and you sign that type of free agent to replace that production. And Saquon Barkley, a divisional rivalry. Man,
just think about this offense. Brown, Smith, that's your receivers.
Yeah.
Offensive quarterback with Saquon Barkley and one of the best offensive lines in NFL football. Man, I look for the Eagles to do some interesting things this year.
Now, as we talk about the Eagles, and trust me, viewers and fans, we're going to get into the Falcons here in a second. But as we talk about the Eagles, So one of the other big conversations coming up with the Eagles is, oh, but Fletcher Cox gone on the defense. Y'all do understand that they got some UGA dogs on that defensive line that's ready to fill in for him.
Yeah, ain't missing a beat there.
Not missing a beat, and guess what? Ain't gotta spend a dime on them because they control them for the next 3 years, for the next 3 years. You got Jordan Davis and what's the kid that came out last year in the draft? Behind Davis.
Hey, if you wanted to ask me, I would have known.
I know, but I'm just saying though. But you got now sitting there at defensive tackle. The Eagles are good.
Man, I cannot believe. But real quick, man, shout out J Bo, man. J Bo say what's good, fam. What you been up to, J Bo? Miss Nikki Stone, what's good? Coming out of Waco. We appreciate that. We do try our best to be the number one podcast class in the land. One thing about it, man, we got a hell of a panel, and that's what make this show click. Along with you all chiming in. What's good, Mark? Marquise, I hadn't been on for a while, man, and hadn't been able to holler at y'all, man. I'm glad y'all checking in with us tonight.
For sure. But yeah, we're gonna J-Bo, we're gonna get into these high school head coaching vacancy fields and stuff here in a little bit. Just give us some time, man. I'm in the middle of trying to get home after a long day in the office. We do got a life outside of this, and I had to fulfill it today.
Yeah, man. That's kind of kept me away the last couple of weeks. And not to mention this pollen, man. It got me kind of stuff. I'm sounding kind of off tonight. I got to excuse me. The pollen got me throat, nasal congestion, straw, that sinus headache. I got it all tonight. But I'm going to roll with my brother tonight. We're going to make this show happen for y'all.
Yeah, for sure. Now, back to this NFL free agency signing period. Everything becomes official, today? Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, I wanted them to sign Ridley so bad so the Falcons get that second round pick, but it didn't happen. But
Yeah,
we got that third round pick from them, so I'm cool with that.
well, that's one thing I've always hated about conditional picks when it comes to trades and things. It worked out well for Chicago this year. It worked out well for
Yeah.
Chicago this year, considering the Panthers was garbage, which got them the number one pick. But it don't normally work out like that too tough.
Yeah. Now I ain't gonna lie though. You gotta blame blame the conditional pick thing on Jimmy Johnson on what he did with Herschel Walker and the trades he made with the Minnesota Vikings. So we're gonna blame that on him. He the one that started this madness. The NFL ain't did nothing about it, so it is what it is. But I'll take the third round pick we got. That extra third round pick we got coming up this year.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Uh,
if you definitely go back and look at a lot of third rounders in the recent drafts, those third round, that's where you've been finding a lot of your money
oh yeah,
third and fourth round these last couple of drafts.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Definitely agree with you on that. So let's just hope Terry and Raheem can find a jewel in the third round, which they should be able to,
Hmm.
unless they decide to use it and move up somewhere in the second. Or they get an extra second round pick. I can
Now,
live with that too.
now, the fact that you got on Terry and Raheem,
Mhm.
let's open this door on our birds, man.
Let's go ahead. Let's go on and kick it in. Let's go on and kick it in.
Okay, give me your take.
Here's my take. My receipts are on this show. Last week and the week before last for fact. I got no problem with the Kirk Cousins signing because it allows us to still have our draft assets, i.e., our draft picks, and we can still maneuver in Granted, yes, Kirk Cousins is coming off an Achilles injury, but we can still go quarterback first or second round. And I'm gonna be honest with you, as I thought about it today, the one quarterback I like to come to the Falcons is the quarterback out of Washington, Penix. I think he will slip down to the second round and be there available for us. That way we can grab that the kid out of Alabama. I don't know why I want to call him Anderson, but that ain't his name though.
Dallas Turner.
And, yeah, Turner. Grab him in the first round, and we can go ahead and come back and draft a quarterback in the second round. Two rookie quarterbacks on the roster in the quarterback room, but we have that veteran leadership to mentor them. With that being said, y'all can bookmark this right now. Kirk Cousins will play no more than 3 seasons as an Atlanta Falcon.
Okay. Now, let me tell you why I hate that move.
Tell me why.
I'm a longtime Falcon fan. I'm sure you are also.
Season ticket holder.
Yes, sir. I can go back and I can look at what the Falcons has done throughout the years. And when you start talking about the success of the Falcons, which ain't that much success in this organization, but the success of the Falcons organization always comes from taking a player as a quarterback, letting him groom and let him develop and get routine down with the receivers and the specialty players and stuff. You just spent your number 8 pick last year on Bijan Robinson, who turned out to be a hell of a player for us. I didn't agree with the pick last year, taking him at that position, but I was okay with them doing it after the season kicked off and I saw what kind of production he had. But you had a lot of other holes that I thought needed to be filled instead of that position. Okay, you got Drake London, who could definitely be a true number 1. You got Kyle Pitts. We all know they line him up or like to call him a tight end, but come on, man. You really got a 1 and 2 receiving right there, in Kyle Pitts and Drake London. You got a backfield that was the number 1, number 2 in the top 5 rushing the last 2 years in the NFL. Here's the kicker. You turned down Lamar Jackson, $200 million a year for 4 years, $200 million contract for 4 years to pay Kirk Cousins $180 million for 4 years. That don't make a lick of bird sense to me. Go after Justin Fields. Go after a young guy. Allow him to gel and to learn and grow with the talent that you've been drafting the last couple of years. And you're talking about a team that can compete for the next 8 to 10 years. You draft a quarterback this year and you sit him and let him learn with this veteran stuff that you're speaking of, bro. Mark my word. After those 3 years of Kirk Cousins playing, bro, we right back at this situation right here. What we gonna do? Is Desmond Ritter the guy? Is St. Penix Jr. the guy? Or whoever they decide to take in the draft this year or next year? Man, that's what been putting us behind and keeping us behind for so long as a franchise. You had Matt Ryan come in, you had Michael Vick come in, and you saw the tides changing with Vick. You had go back to Chris Miller in the early 90s and put him with your risers and things like that. The tide they start developing and growing to win games. When you start bringing in those old time journeymen like your Jeff Georges and your Chris Chandlers and stuff, you get those 2-3 years of those players playing at the best of their ability, still not making Super Bowl, although Chris Chandler did get us to a Super Bowl. But let's
Thank
be
you.
real.
Thank you. Thank you.
All that was with him being a manager because you had a hell of a defense and a
Yeah.
potent offense with Jamal Anderson being a 1,800-yard rusher that year. So
Yeah.
again, I just say you're keeping the franchise in the dark by not going after a franchise quarterback that can develop with the type of talent that you've been drafting the last couple of years. That's my take on it.
Now, I'm not gonna disagree with what you said. I am going. We play devil's advocate with each other, right? So
Yes,
that's what
sir.
I'm gonna do. Here's my thing. You brought up the old '90s, early 2000 Falcons. The Falcons used to be a rest haven for players on the way out of the league. That's not who we are anymore. We're not
Yeah,
that anymore.
that's exactly who Kirk Cousins is because you just gave a 36-year-old man off an Achilles injury a $50 million signing bonus and $100 million guaranteed contract.
But I'm gonna ask you one question. If you play fantasy football, who did not want to have Justin Jefferson on their fantasy football team? Because, because who's throwing to him? Kirk Cousins. You might not have drafted Kirk Cousins, but you know who's finna get the ball. Kirk Cousins made Justin Jefferson who he is. Don't get me wrong, Justin Jefferson is one hell of a receiver,
Nah.
but Kirk Cousins helped that man shine and helped that man turn down a $200 million contract.
Okay,
At the
so
same time, hold on now.
so
At the same time, that man got what's the kid name that the dude name that on that left shoulder that on New Orleans that caught the pass over New Orleans in the playoff game and left and went. I
Stephon
think he
Diggs.
went to both. Diggs. He made he got Diggs paid. What I'm getting at is this: Kirk Cousins, in my mind, ain't nothing but a Brent Favre 2.0. He ain't nothing but a baller, and he gonna sling that joker around the field.
Man, stop.
What I'm
Stop.
now, hold on. Let's talk now. Look at what the Falcons did the day after they signed Kirk Cousins. Who did they bring in? Mooney from Chicago. If
Yeah,
you
you
got
gave
any
him
issue,
$30-something million.
if you got any issues with that 26-year-old receiver out of Chicago, you don't know football. Cause that dude balled out in Chicago. That dude there, Mooney, is a baller. So we have a legitimate number two receiver to go along with Drake London, to go along with a Cal Pitts, to go along with a B. John Roberts. So we don't need to draft. We don't need to draft or try and find us a number two receiver in the draft this year. All we looking for is a slot receiver this year in the draft. And shit, we can get that in. Yeah, we can get that on in day 3.
Okay, let me get some of these comments. Tick said Brett Favre sat the bench behind Chris Miller. Uh, Sean said the quarterback is only as good as the system they play in. Lamar Jackson is a great regular season QB, but the offensive gimmicks he plays within won't win deep in the playoffs. I'm gonna start right there. So I definitely disagree with that, Sean. I mean, if Lamar Jackson would have played with those offensive gimmicks against the Kansas City Chiefs, you'd have saw a different outcome. So that's just my take on that. Um, Stephon Diggs, yeah, we was right about that. Sean say folks been sleeping on Cousin his entire career. He beat out RG3 with the Redskins, and we all know what the deal was with that. I disagree with you on that too, Sean. I mean, for some reason, I think you okay with this Kirk Cousins signing with what you're saying, and I'm not. So maybe that's why I'm disagreeing with everything you're saying. But
Man, say what you want to say. RG3 balled out his rookie year. Now that second season when he started getting beat up because he was running too much, that's a different. That's the conversation piece right there. That's just my opinion on that. Well, man, please, well, read that comment on the screen, please.
okay, Jefferson, Diggs, and Thielen made Cousins look good. When he didn't have A1 receivers, he was just another overhyped QB1. And that right there, I definitely agree with. Because the
And,
point that I was finna make is this right here.
uh-huh,
You go back and you look at said receivers like Terrell Owens. No
uh-huh,
matter where T.O. played, T.O. got his numbers, regardless of what quarterback he was playing with. And
yeah,
go back and look at those quarterbacks and what they season looked like when Terrell was playing with them. They looked at like Pro Bowl, All Pro quarterbacks.
well, if you can see my
Sick of
face
the,
right now.
I'm sick of the mentality that the quarterback make the receivers. There are
Dog.
receivers that can make the quarterback. I'll give you case in point. I'll give you case in point. Listen up. Go and look in
Mhm.
the Georgia high school passing records. You're gonna see a kid out of Perry by the name of Lane Rucker.
Uh-huh.
Now, Lane Rucker came in his freshman year, beat out a couple of guys, and Lane Rucker is not a bad quarterback. That's not the case that I'm trying to make. But Lane Rucker was a 3-year starter because he didn't come in as a freshman beginning of the season, but a 3-year starter for Perry and threw for maybe 3,000 yards each year. Maybe was pushing close to 4,000 one year, which was amazing. Just don't know the numbers off top, but you can go and look at the records. But
Yeah.
then go and look at the talent of receivers that he had. Receivers make the quarterback. When you got Stephon Diggs, you got Jefferson, you got Thielen that can catch 10, 15-yard slants and take it 60 yards to the house, that makes a quarterback numbers look good. When you got receivers that can, running backs that can catch screens out the backfield that he had in Davin Cook and things like that, and they can take it 40, 50 yards to the house, that make his numbers look good.
Well, y'all proving
Kirk
my point.
Cousins,
Y'all.
Kirk Cousins is not a top 10 quarterback in this NFL league.
Okay, I'm agree with you on one thing you said. Kirk Cousin is not a top tier quarterback, but Kirk Cousin is an above average quarterback, and this is why I say this. Based on what you just said, look at the talent he had around him in Washington. He really didn't have talent out there with him, but
I
he
disagree.
made it he made it work to the point where he was able to rate Washington for over 200 million for almost $200 million.
Well, that was because of some upper personnel management issues going on with RG3. You know, the leg injury and things where they kind of felt like, oh, we don't messed up on this draft. Let's try to save our jobs with this Kirk Cousin thing. And RG3 don't came out and said plenty of stuff about stuff that happened in those days. But when you talk about the type of receiving core and running backs that Kirk Cousins had in Washington his years there, do you not understand that Washington was fighting for and the NFC East at the time was the worst division in football, and Washington was fighting for division championships yearly, either with Dallas or with the Giants. Like it's nothing to comparing that boy we had this year to what was going on in the NFC South this year. Kirk Cousins,
Man, well, I know we PG right now, but bullshit. I know we PG right now, but bullshit on that. You cannot compare Kirk Cousins to Desmond Ritter. Well, don't you dare do that shit today. No, 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 you ain't finna do that tonight.
no, bro. You took that out of context. What I meant was his years in Washington was no different from what you can compare to a Desmond Ritter this year. Yes, he had some nice stats, but you was playing in the weakest division in the weakest conference, the weakest division. I'm sorry, in NFL this year, and that's
But
exactly what was going on in Washington days when he
do
was
you
when he was in Washington.
do you not get that Desmond Ritter finally fulfilled his rookie year last year? He played 4 games in his rookie season. And look who was trying to mentor him. Out of all people. Out of all people, you got what's the dude name? Uh Mariota. trying to mentor him, you already know that's a bad combination right there. But then on top of that, like I said, he finally fulfilled a full season, 13 games into the season. Dude, he's seeing stuff he ain't never seen before. Dealing with defenses he ain't never dealt with before. So that's why I'm not going. And then on top of that, do you understand that the Falcons did not have a true quarterbacks coach like, the whole time that Arthur Smith was here?
Bro, all the stuff you comparing is ain't doing nothing but making my comment true.
No, what I'm getting at is the Falcons as a coaching staff had Ritter set up for failure from the jump. How you gonna have a coaching staff with no true quarterback coach on the staff, dude?
All that is fine too. And again, Kirk Cousins' years in Washington was no different from what
Nah,
Desmond Ritter did with this year.
now,
And now let me read this comment, bro, because I got it. Okay, wide receivers make the quarterbacks. Tom Brady has entered the chat. A quarterback need body types and skill sets who are reliable, but not necessarily all stars. Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that. So Tom Brady is what you're trying to say as an exception to the rule or something. Like he can just do all of this. But I remember a comment that was made up atop. Well, a quarterback is only as good as the system they play in.
now that I totally agree with.
Okay. So I say this to say, I remember when Tom Brady was injured. I remember when Tom Brady um, didn't play games, preseasons, and things like that. I'll call three names real quick. Jacoby Brissett. That's one. Um, the one that just left out of 49ers, and y'all gotta forgive me
Who,
on my
Garoppolo?
medication.
Who, Garoppolo?
Garoppolo, and
Okay.
I'll give you an old one that went to the Kansas City Chiefs. Come on, listeners, y'all help me with this.
Oh, you talking about Kansas City? Who? You talking about the dude that broke the leg?
No, you talking about Alex Smith. He
Yeah,
was a Castle. Is it Matt Castle?
yeah. Matt Castle was out there, but yeah, Matt Castle was out there when Allen came in. Alex Smith came in.
Okay, but here's my thing. Matt Castle, Garoppolo, and Jacoby Brissett all played in absence of Tom Brady in the system that Bill Belichick and the NFL had in place for the New England Patriots, and looked like studs, and went elsewhere and couldn't do a
Uh-huh.
BA thing.
Okay, we're talking about what you're talking about is the Bill Belichick system when he had one of the greatest coaching staffs in the NFL in the world. That's
Well,
what you're talking about. When they
well,
had and look who they had on that offense at the time. You got Gronk, you got Edelman, you got all them that's making those quarterbacks look good. Hernandez with his thug ass. Come on now, we can't even put them in the same conversation.
bro, I'm really not understanding what you meaning by that, because this is what Sean said about the
No,
Brady situation. My whole point is a
we can't
quarterback,
talk about
a
we can't talk
quarterback,
about that. Plain and simple.
a quarterback can look good when he got a bunch of stud receivers. Because I'll tell you right now, Tua Tagovailoa made the Pro Bowl this year, and Tua Tagovailoa is nowhere near a Pro Bowl quarterback. But when you got stud receivers in Waddle and Tyreek, and all you got to do is throw the ball, and they're gonna run up under it. You start putting up solid numbers like that.
And I'm with you on that. I agree with you on that. Shit, hell, yeah. I go back to high school days and agree with you on that. But this is what I'm saying, man. This is all I'm saying. One, the Falcons made to bring in Kirk Cousins. It is a good move for the simple fact we are still able to go out and draft the future if we wanted to, along with working with what we have in house. Desmond Ritter ain't going nowhere. Heineke is gone. Heineke is gone. They're going to Falcons going to draft a quarterback this year. No ifs, ands, or buts about that.
All right.
Because let's be honest. Because let's be honest. When you look at the quarterback situation in the NFC South, can you tell me right now who's the backup in New Orleans? Because he gone. Tampa Bay finna pay Baker Mayfield, and you think Tampa Bay is gonna run away with that? And then you look at Carolina. They whole offensive line is wet toilet paper. It's wet toilet tissue.
Well, here's the thing. Baker Mayfield, who all of a sudden now his career been revitalized and revamped in Tampa. You think that has nothing to do with Godwin and Mike Evans?
Nope. You know what it has to do with? You know what it has to do with? The
What?
NFC South. It has to do with the NFC South. Let's be real with it. The NFC, it was three teams that the NFC South was up for grabs for. Falcons, Aints, and the damn sorry ass Buccaneers. It was
That
up for
has
grabs.
nothing. No, that I'm not talking about them winning the division because that's like I told you, that was the weakest division in the NFL. But I'm talking about Baker Mayfield had Pro Bowl numbers this year. That's how he just earned that contract. They ain't looking at him for winning the division and just gave him that contract.
The
He
only
signed that
reason,
contract because of his numbers, and those numbers was because of the running back play, the wide receiver play. Baker Mayfield was the same Baker Mayfield in Cleveland.
man, you can sell that. You can try and sell that water to a different fish. Baker Mayfield got that contract off of one simple fact. One, you won a division and you made it to the playoff. That's the only reason why, because the NFC South was full of crap
Bro,
this year.
let's think about this. Are you telling me a multi-billion-dollar industry like the NFL is going to reward you off of making the playoffs when you know that your division was the worst division? They gonna get this man $100 million because he happened to win a division that was the worst division in football. Come on, bro.
No,
That ain't
not
nothing. If
no,
that's the
not
case, come on, bro.
not
Like I said,
no,
Baker
no, no,
Mayfield
no.
contract came off of what he did, and when you look at what he did, it was Pro Bowl numbers. And when you look at the people that were surrounded by him, that's where that comes from. It's incentive based in this league. It's production play based in this league, and his production was up this year because of the type of receivers that he had. That's why Baker Mayfield got that money. It ain't got a BA thing to do with making the playoffs.
You know what? We all know this for a fact. Baker Mayfield ain't nothing but a bridge until Tampa Bay can find a quarterback for the future. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, with that being said, let's be real about this. The Buccaneers as a whole did not come on until them last 6 weeks of the season last year.
You
They
say
did not
six.
come on
You
until
say
then.
six.
And
I don't even see that. Like,
and dude, they didn't do
no,
nothing
no, no,
really until the last 6 weeks of the
no,
season.
no. I'm telling you, you say six last 6 weeks. I didn't even see him doing nothing then.
Well, okay. I was trying to be credit. I was trying to get on some extra weeks in there. Okay, my bad. But my thing is this: so when it comes to Tampa Bay, right? All Tampa Bay had to beat two people. Had to beat two teams, Falcons and the Aints. So, and they succeeded in that in closing out the season. Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a whole, they were starting to click. And with the production that he put up last year, that got him the contract that he just signed. With that being said, Baker Mayfield is going to end up being Baker Mayfield real soon and be the real Baker Mayfield that we know him to be from Cleveland and from Oklahoma.
Of course. And
Now,
he was that this year. It's just okay, I'll say it like this, and then we can move on if you want to. Let Mike Evans is a free agent, but they signed him back. Let Mike
yeah,
Evans get left and see what kind of numbers Baker Mayfield would have been putting up.
it ain't even, man, shit. It ain't even, you ain't even got to talk about, Mike Evans. Yeah, just in general, because let's be real about it. One, Baker Mayfield.
Bro, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
here. My bad. All right, you got me back now.
Yeah, I was finna get on
All right,
those comments before I had lost you then, but we ain't
nah,
really got nothing new. It was just Myrick
nah,
just saying some things.
but nah, Baker Mayfield, he just lucked out and found a good situation for him because Tampa Bay was desperate for a quarterback. Because Fitzpatrick wasn't coming back. Fitzpatrick was busy making money with Hulu, so he wasn't coming back. If they could have got Fitzpatrick off the retirement list, Fitzpatrick would have came back and played for Tampa Bay. So, but anyway, to get off of Tampa Bay, let's get back on the Falcons. All right, I'm glad to see what the Falcons did in picking up Mooney to bring him in. Now you got some veteran leadership in the receiver room. You don't have a room full of receivers on their rookie contracts. All right,
Well,
I'm glad to see that.
You had that in Matt Hollis last year.
Say that name one more time.
Matt Hollis.
Who was that? Point made on that, right? So this is what I'm saying, and this is what I'm getting at. With the moves that the Falcons have made so far, as a as a person that has interest in them, I'm satisfied with signing Kirk Cousins because I said this several. I've been saying it for the last 3, 4 shows that if it's not Russell Wilson, it's going to end up being Kirk Cousins. I've been saying it, and it happened with the Russell Wilson situation. We all know what would have kind of held that back from happening. All right, Kirk Cousins, the best veteran move, and then on top of that, the first 2 years only costing us 25 million. I mean, not 25 million, 35 million the first 2 years. The last 2 years of that contract only costing us what, about 10 million? Shit, we can eat that. We ain't got no problem eating that in the cap after
Okay,
releasing him.
stamp this, and this is gonna be my receipt. We don't even make it to the divisional rounds with Kirk Cousins.
I don't
If
care
we
about
make,
making it to the division.
if we make the playoffs. And
We're gonna make it.
the only reason I say we got to try to make it the playoffs is because of
Mm-hmm.
everything that you just said. When you do boil it down in the NFC South, you got a second-year quarterback and the kid over at Carolina. You got
Yep.
Baker Mayfield in Tampa, and you
Yep.
got the car guy out there in New Orleans, and
Them damn swamp people.
yeah, and you can pretty much win 2 or 3 games here and there that you ain't supposed to that can possibly win you the division in the NFC South right now. So that's why I don't say the playoffs. But if we do make the playoffs by winning the division, bro, we won and done, man. So
I ain't gonna even say that. I ain't gonna even say one and done because we're gonna be in the wild card unless we play. As long as we don't play Green Bay, we good in the wild card.
why not Green Bay?
Green Bay Green Bay is gonna be the second most underrated team in the NFC.
Who will be the
Do you
first?
see the Falcons?
Oh, shit.
And this is why I say this. Look who Green Bay just grabbed. They just grabbed Jacobs. They released Jones and got a better running back in Jacobs.
I wouldn't
Now
say
all they
better. I wouldn't say better.
you don't think so? What? He's younger and faster than Jones. What you talking about?
That's something else we'll debate about devil's advocate on. But yeah, I wouldn't say better, but I
Okay.
understand where you're going with that. You know, they got a talented slew of receiving core. They got a hell of a gunslinger behind the center. And
It's their
bringing in
defense.
Jacobs, you know, that's not a bad move for Green
Yeah.
Bay. But I mean, I still, from what it looking like right now, it all depends on what happened the 19th through the 21st of
Facts.
April. I still see Green Bay being a favorite for the NFC North. Like, I just don't see
Oh,
Chicago. Well,
oh, for sure.
and
I don't even see Chicago being a favorite.
the only reason I say that behind what Detroit did last year is because I think that was a fluke thing for them. I don't think Detroit have a year like they had this year. So I think Green
I
Bay goes back to being a favorite.
I agree with you on that. I will say this though. I think Green Bay and Detroit will battle for that division, but I I do think Green Bay will win it as long as they improve on that defense in this draft. That's the key for Green Bay is to improve on the defense. All right. When you look at the NFC North, right? Detroit. Okay. You really you didn't lose anything. You're keeping your core so far through this free agency period, right? The thing is, one, can you add to the core and make the core better through the draft? Because they're not making any noise and any moves in free agency. So they're going to do everything they're going to do through the draft. And number two, can you keep the same intensity that you had from last year? Now,
They did lose CGJ back to Philadelphia, and he brought a lot of veteran leadership over there to the back end on their
okay,
back end. I mean, you had a stud in Branch, but you know Gardner Johnson was really coming over with that veteran leadership from a Super Bowl contender Eagles. Was able to get that secondary kind of together. And now he going back to Philly, so you lost that, and that's big.
yeah. And then you got Minnesota, who ain't got no quarterback. Justin Jefferson might sit out, might hold out. Yeah, you brought in hold on, let me see. You got rid of Madison and you brought in who was the running back they brought in? Um well, I want to say they brought Jones in. I think yeah, I think they signed Jones from Green Bay.
Yeah, I think they did get Aaron Jones.
Yeah. But you don't have a quarterback. You talking about bringing in what's this what's this washed up dude name? Not Matt Castle, Sam Donald. That's who you talking about bringing in to run your offense at quarterback is Sam Donald?
Well, they did sign Darnold, so I mean, I don't think. I mean,
Minnesota.
yeah,
Minnesota hurt.
I think Darnold will definitely be a bridge period, probably for the next 1 or 2 years.
No shit. Again. No shit.
But when you got a disgruntled number one receiver with the talent that Jefferson has, you know, I don't see that bringing in somebody to bridge over. Like I'm trying to, if I lost Kirk Cousins unexpectedly, because they did offer him,
Yeah,
and the only reason not because I don't think Kirk Cousins was worth what Minnesota offered him, but I think the fact that the report he had already gotten with Jefferson, I think I would have wanted to bring him back for that alone. But
yeah.
now you got Jefferson disgruntled and ready to leave. So I mean, I don't know, man. I think Minnesota really has dropped the ball in this situation and really are going to be back in the dark ages of some 3-12 or 13 seasons now and stuff. It's 3-14 now since we got 17 games. So
And I totally agree with you. And yeah, Chicago. Okay, you lost your number two receiver at Chicago. You still don't have an offensive line, which you got to build up in order to make your quarterback more productive. And then the defense speaks for itself. So that's why I say Detroit, Green Bay gonna battle for number one, but I think Green Bay is gonna pull it out. That's just me.
I'm gonna tell you like this: don't sleep on Chicago, though.
I'm sleeping on them. I'm drooling, snoring on Chicago.
Okay, Chicago got
I'm like,
Chicago got
Chicago
the
got
world.
what?
Chicago got the world at their feet right now. all because of giving up and getting that first pick last year. Because here's the thing: you didn't move Justin Fields because your eyes got bigger than your belly. You got greedy.
Mhm.
You knew you had the
Mhm.
number one pick secured. You knew you had the number nine pick. That's two what we call lottery pick in basketball or whatnot. But you got two top 10 picks. You could have moved Justin Fields for little or nothing and gained something back that could have helped you in the latter rounds. But now you stuck with him on your roster, which within the next couple of weeks you'll hear they're gonna start talking about trading that number one pick. They're gonna have to because you're not taking Caleb Williams with Justin Fields on your roster. You're not gonna do it.
Hold
So
on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Wait, stop right there. Can I ask you why?
hold on.
I just want to hear you say why. That's all I want to hear is hear you say why they're not going to take a quarterback at the number one pick. I know why not. I just want to hear you say it.
For the same reason you're talking about Atlanta Falcons ain't.
Okay, okay. Two quarterbacks in a rookie contract in the same room. Okay, we're gonna keep it moving. Folks just don't understand that one. But all right, we're gonna keep it moving.
Now, although that makes sense, so now you're gonna move it, and you looking at Washington, who's right behind you, right at two.
Mm-hmm.
New England at three, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh,
So
some,
now you
something like
start.
that.
Now you're starting a bidding war with them. You tell Washington, hey, give me this right here. I give you the number one pick. We could get swap 1 and 2 because New England knocking down my door for that number one pick, and they might go up and take the quarterback you want. So if you move from one to say sit 3 or 4,
Mm-hmm.
you can get a decent player like a one of the top three receivers, Neighbors, um, Harrison Jr., and the kid out of Washington there, the receiver out of Washington. And you pair him with Justin Fields. You come back at the number 9 and you look at an offensive lineman out of Notre Dame or somewhere, top offensive lineman on the board, and you build around Justin Fields with those first 2 picks and picking up more draft picks in the second and third rounds by trading that number one pick away to build around Justin Fields. You already just signed DeAndre Swift. Yeah, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
sleep on Chicago just yet.
Okay.
Now, have you made it
Okay.
in? Because I mean, we've been close to an hour on some NFL. I want to see if we can see what's going on the high school tip.
Okay. Yeah, I made it in. I've been home for a minute now. But on the high school tip, there are and have been some vacancies that got filled through today. Uh, hold on, let me. I'm pulling up my source document right now. I'm pulling up my data. That's what I'm doing. Pulling up my data. Um, hold on, let me see something. Go there. Bam, go there. Go there. All right. So on the high school front, again, like I said, there have been some hires that were made since last week. Some of those hires include shit. What's going on, EP?
What's going on, brother?
Man,
What's
but
good, bro?
What's going on, man?
All right.
man, but yeah, some of those hires include. I wish our sister was on tonight. Arabia Mountain got a head coach. They ended up hiring an individual by the name of Kerry Hood, who was the offensive coordinator at Lithia Springs. Um, and then yeah, that's the only hire that I got word of that took place so far. Yeah, yeah. That's the only hire that I got so far was Arabia Mountain hiring a head coach. This within the past couple of days or within the past week.
Man,
So
it's kind
we
of
still
expensive, which is fine because I mean, you really at this point, if you don't have a head coach by now, and you really like a month away from getting ready to start your spring practice, like you behind the eight ball. Like
well,
you should
and
already have a coach in place, bro. I don't care.
I do agree with you on that to an extent. What I'm gonna say is this: majority of schools within the state of Georgia, they want to have a coach in place before they go into spring break. I think that's the goal. Have a coach in place before you go into spring break because when these schools come back from spring break,
That's my football
they're
podcast.
going to be they're going to be full throttle with with spring football practice.
You only saying that because y'all don't have a coach right now. Because if
Oh,
y'all
we
had
gonna
a coach in place, bro, you got to understand the off season. The off season is just as important as spring break. You got to build
have,
that camaraderie with your players. You got to get them in the weight room. You got to know what you got on your roster and what you need to be looking at. You have to. So if you're gonna think that a comeback after spring break, a week or two before spring practice, and then have somebody in place, bro, you behind the eight ball. You should if your coach was gone and moved on after this season, before they came back after this holiday break, you should have had somebody in place to start winter workouts and everything in that weight room, getting those kids prepared for the upcoming season.
hold on. How you gonna put City Grove in this conversation? Everybody knows City Grove is gonna hire from within, so we good.
I mean, hopefully you do, but you should have already had. And I mean, I don't care if it's within because we all know on this show we have said several times, being a coordinator, being a coordinator, and being a head coach is totally different. So
Right.
if he been an offense coordinator, defense coordinator, and he's being hired from within, your position on Cedar Grove staff is not the same as being the head man. So you're gonna look at it have different jobs and things to do. So you should already want to be in place as that head man so that you can already lay your laws down and get your ducks in a row.
Uh, you do understand that we've hired from within the past two coaching losses and ain't missed a beat, right? You get that, right?
Of course I do. You know I know that. But also
Okay.
you do know and understand that hiring from within and not missing a beat was making sure that you did pick the right guy that can just keep the train rolling and who had been on the staff for a while, not just a year or two because of coaching changes. They had been on the staff. I take Coach Adams. Coach Adams was over on the middle school staff, came up to the high school staff and had himself implemented into that process and the coaching staff over there at Cedar Grove. So
Well,
and yes, it was
well,
easy for him to step in, but that don't
well,
mean the next guy has.
well, Coach Allen was on the staff for 6 years before he took over. Coach Allen's been there for all the title runs as a DB coach, defensive coordinator, which a lot of people don't know. Yeah, he can't. You're right. He did come over from the middle school. He came over from the middle school as the DB coach and ended up eventually taking over as the defensive coordinator, and then stepped up into the head coaching role. So it was a growth. It was a path for him to grow. But for a lot of these schools, like right now, regardless of how we want to spend this, I don't care what you say. There are certain schools right now that needs to fill these spots. Prime example, Westlake. What are you waiting on? Westlake got to fill that vacancy quick and fast. Stockbridge, in order to maintain what you had, to build on what you had, you got to get that filled. Um, I'll even say Stars Mill, even though it's a private school and you can do what you want to do, you still need to get that vacancy filled. You know, for Dro favorite schools. Now, y'all, I want y'all to understand my sarcasm on here. Can we get a vacancy fill at Josie? I did that one for Dro. Even though we missing you, Dro, I did that one for you.
So
But
the case in point, though, exactly what you just said about those schools. If anybody is not or have not hired your coach, what you waiting on?
yeah, bottom line is everybody should have had a coach in place by by Friday. At the latest, they should have had a head coach in by Friday, by this coming Friday. But like a few programs, yeah, I can understand a few programs which are, those doormats of the region, you know, but some coaches, or shall I say, some coordinators have to look at them as stepping stone for them to build their resume. Take on the challenge. Now I will say this: some schools, i.e., Westlake, Cedar Grove, and then like I say, I'll let y'all decide who you want to throw in there, Spalding or Stockbridge. But the thing is, I'm sorry, Stars Mill or Stockbridge. The thing is, you don't want nobody to come in and mess up the system that's in place. So you got to make a careful hire on that, on those, on them two programs, those first two programs that I named. You got to make a careful hire. You got to give it serious consideration. Is this individual gonna come in and mess up the system we have in place? And
Bruh,
okay, how you spend it?
bruh.
What's up?
Never mind. I'm gonna leave you alone on that.
We ain't gonna do it live. We ain't gonna do
Yeah,
it live.
yeah, yeah,
We've already had this discussion.
yeah, yeah,
We've had this
yeah.
discussion, but I'm gonna say it publicly though. Neither one of those programs want an individual to come in that's gonna mess up the system in place.
Agree, agree.
Okay, we're gonna leave it at that. Now, if the viewers got questions on what I mean by that, then they can ask me and I'll explain it. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it like that. But with all that being said, we got spring football getting ready to kick off next month. Um, Again, I'm gonna go back to what I always say. We talking about practice, so take it with a grain of salt. Don't come out like some fan bases did last year, all hyped up because they had a good spring. Take it with a grain of salt and see how your roster unfolds when the new school year starts up in August.
Is there anybody in particular you speaking on?
Nope, I ain't call. You know what? I'm not gonna be petty, and I ain't gonna call no names. I'm
So
not
my
gonna be
homeboy
petty
Eddie
like
Gary. So my homeboy Eddie Gary, who listen to us on YouTube. Um, Shout out to Eddie Gary. If y'all don't know, I've always shouted him out because Perry Panthers won a championship this year, and I think that besides the coaching staff and the job they've done, you got to give those guys that put their team together, kept them together throughout the rec leagues on up to be state champions. Give those guys a shout out, and that's Eddie Gary and his coaching staff. He said, so Big Perry don't retire two coaches.
mm,
Since Perry beat Stars Mill and Stockbridge, and both coaches left their program.
mm, mm. That's a bold statement there.
A bold one.
Yeah, that's a
That's a
bold one
bold
there.
one.
I do want to ask a question real quick. Paul Wilson. Paul Wilson asked what happened with Stockbridge coach. Stockbridge coach,
He left for
Thomas,
Jackson.
yeah, Thomas Clark, he left and went to Jackson. So that's what happened with Stockbridge coach. He left Stockbridge and went over to Jackson. He went a little bit
Oh,
further down, 75.
and he said Bainbridge also. So that's three coaches Perry beat on their way to a state championship, and their coaches left the program.
Coincidental.
That's interesting, bro.
Man, City Grove done beat some ex coaches so bad that they just left high school football altogether. So we ain't gonna have that conversation because I don't want a particular watermelon fan base getting mad at me. So, but anyway, yeah, spring coming up, man. There's gonna be some good action. I hope everybody get out and support their local schools, man, on these spring games and stuff that's coming up. Get out and watch the spring practice, see how these kids, I guess you can say, come rising up. Because it's not about the talent, you got coming back. It's all about the talent, the new talent that's coming in. That's going to be able to fill those gaps next year in the upcoming season. Those young players. So, with that being said, can I can I speak on next week, or do I need to keep, or should we keep it a secret? What we got going on next week?
Let's talk, bro.
Okay. Well, next week we're gonna have two special guests on board to come on and join us next week. Everybody should know one of them from the Georgia High School football page on Instagram. Young man by the name of Drew that joins us throughout the season. But we're also going to have another individual that is up and rising on Instagram by the name of Coach Marcus. Both are scheduled to come on next week and talk high school football with us. I think everybody knows Drew pretty much covers the entire state and has information on the entire state. But for Coach Marcus primarily covers APS, Henry County, Clayton County, Rockdale, Newton, DeKalb, Henry. He focuses on the areas south of the or metro area south. To help give our viewers and loyal listeners some insight to what is up and rising here in the Atlanta area and south of it and in the south suburban area of Atlanta. So we do encourage a lot of you guys to tune in next week, see what both individuals have to say, and come with your questions. Figure out what you want to know about these schools that's popping off, in the APS, your Mays, your Doug, your your Carvers, I'm trying your McDonald's, what's going on in McDonald's, what's going on inside of Stockbridge, who are up and coming players in Rockdale County, Newton County. He can provide that insight to you. So tune in to us next Wednesday. And again, like I say, come with your questions. Come holler at us. Let us know. Come challenge him, push him like y'all do Drew. Talk that talk like you do Drew. And Drew, obviously, again, everybody should understand Drew by now. So we're gonna let Drew do what Drew do. But tune in next week though.
Definitely tune in next week. Now, real quick, I've been out a couple of weeks, as y'all know. Y'all hadn't heard me on the show. I just wanted to piggyback off something that happened a couple of weeks ago.
um, here in Middle Georgia at Houston County High School. Not sure if anybody listening have heard about this, but the Houston County baseball team, while away traveling for some games, another student, another kid, a teammate, walk into a couple of other guys' hotel room, catch them with sheets on their heads, like the Ku Klux Klan. And big ups to this kid, his parents, they raised him well, to record them and say he's going to expose them all. Now, it was Caucasians, white kids that was in this room, and the guy that was recording them saying he was going to expose them was also white. My biggest issue with this is I look at my age. I'm 44 years old. I've in my life have experienced some racism and things like that, but for the utmost, I hadn't been through nothing that my father and my grandfathers and things of that sort had to go through. So for kids at Houston County High School to have this mentality that it's okay to do what they did, mean that their parents are around our age, around my age. That was bothering me so much about this, because you can see that racism is being taught. It's being passed down from generation to generation. You know, these kids knew nothing of no Ku Klux Klan growing up. They know nothing of thinking it's a game to put sheets over your head. I remember the kids that happened last year over at West Lawrence and the things that they did and stuff. They ain't learning this stuff from everyday experiences of what they're experiencing as kids growing up to be young adults. This is being passed down from parents and generations of hatred. And it's just been swept under the rug here in Central Georgia. Like, I live 3 minutes, turn a cartwheel out of Hoko front yard and you in my yard. I've heard nothing about nothing. I don't know what happened, no kind of disciplinary actions or anything. My son in a year will be going to Hoko. I know that's not true, because anybody know me know he'll be at Peach County anyway. But the fact that the same kids that he's on his way to high school with are the same kids that parents could be teaching them the same thing that these kids' parents are teaching them. And he would have to deal with that. And it's 2024, man. So my main point on this is, if anybody's listening, white, black, purple, green, or whatever, if you got hate in your heart for another person because of their color, something is terribly and seriously wrong with you. It's sad. It's outdated. It needs to be over with. And kids and parents that allow stuff like this to happen, it need to be talked about more, brought to shame, and not just swept under the rug where these kids think it's okay to continue to do stuff like this. And that's just what I wanted to say. I apologize if I brought something up that y'all already talked about, but I wasn't on, and I just had to put that out there.
Nah, totally agree with everything you said. It has no place in society today. It's shameful. Not only should the kids be ashamed, but the parents. But I will say this: if that came to public light, and or they did it in public, shall I say, and they caught some repercussions off of that, Oh, I'm gonna put it like this. Hold on, let me say my life version. Caught some consequences and repercussions for trying to take somebody cornbread.
Mm,
I wouldn't even be mad about it.
mm, 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 mm.
But yeah. But with all that being said, man, you got any problem shutting this down a little early tonight?
Not at all, man. Like I told you, I went feeling good, had eaten. I got a 10-piece onion pepper wings in front of me right now. I'm devouring while we speak.
For sure. Yeah, 'cause I know this. I know, man. I got me some grilled nuggets and some and a side kale salad from Chick-fil-A. I'm about ready to smash.
Mm, mm, mm.
But want to say thank you for everybody that tuned in tonight. Tonight was kind of short, but do expect a good show next week. We hope that you tune in, that you join us, you listen to us, interact with us. And with that being said, I'm gonna let you go ahead and say what you got to say before we get out of here.
Man, I'm glad to be back. I hope I can continue to go on through until the season really kick off. Big ups to all the kids that's in the weight room in the off season putting in that work. This win is counting. This is the most important time. It's all good to be able to go out there in spring and summer workouts and the fall play and stuff. But when you don't have to have nobody forcing your hand and you just want to voluntarily work out and get yourself stronger, faster, and better, commend you for that. Um, to all the vacancies, head coaches, man, y'all better hire somebody. You're gonna start the season behind the eight ball already. Chris County was a perfect example of that. They said they needed 3-4 weeks of the season to get ready when you're already 1-3, 1-4 at the time or something. So get your coaches in. We look forward to seeing y'all next week with our two special guests. Um, Hopefully our sister Shakira will be back. Again, y'all pray for my dog, Jessica. Um, and she won't be with us for the next couple of weeks or whatnot, but y'all just send us a prayer, unspoken prayers for Jessica for any of the listeners right now. And that's about it, bro, until we meet next week, man.
Well, on that, man, y'all know the deal. Bet not lose. Peace up. H down down.
Bye.
Later.